Hello everyone, this is Rahul from Bangalore RDS team. Today we'll be covering the topic upgrade in PostgreSQL. Let's quickly move on to the agenda. So we'll be covering the introduction, then we'll be going through minor version upgrade, then we'll be going through major version upgrade, then we'll look what are the prerequisite before you do an upgrade. Then we'll use a tool called PG upgrade, how like through that tool how upgrade is done. Then we'll do major version upgrade using a PG dump and a PG restore. Then we'll be looking into some points what needs to be looked like the post requisite. Then you'll have a quick demo and followed by summary. So let's quickly move on to the introduction. So introduction why do you need an upgradation? Your system is performing perfectly all right. So there might be a question why you need an upgrade. So to figure out why you need like you can see the point like to run system optimally it is very important to be sure we are running the most up-to-date version of PostgreSQL. Like every now and then the developers they keep on releasing some version. In that version there are most of the time there will be bug fixes or some fixes related to some like any kind of virus or any kind of any kind of worms. So those fixes are done in the release using the minor version upgrade. So it's very important that we keep on upgrading our system. No doubt that if you think that your system is running perfectly and you don't need an upgrade, but it is never a good practice. You always need to keep on upgrading your system. Let it first of all it should be like minor version upgrade should be always done. So because lots of bug fixes are done and at a very good rate. So after upgrading PostgreSQL database to the latest release will allow the access to new feature, like any new feature which have been released. So you will be having the access to take the advantage of that new feature. Then it will increase the robustness. Then it will improve the performance and the community support as well, because some version don't have support. So if you are in the latest version you get the support, but upgrades can be very tricky business. So we should be very much planned about our upgrades. We should do proper testing and we should make sure that very little downtime is very little downtime is like used or planned accordingly. Like there should not be like much more downtime during any critical production database. So that is very tricky. We should always plan how you're going to upgrade your system, but make sure always you you go to the latest version. So let's move on and check what is meant by minor version upgrade. So PostgreSQL minor versions are represented by the third group of version digit, that is like 8.4.2, and the second minor release of 8 of 8.4. So here you can see like the number is, suppose the version is 8.4.2, and you can see that it's a second minor release. So it's 8.4 and you add a 2 after 4, that means it's a second minor release. And minor release never change the internal storage format and are always compatibility earlier. So you don't need a PG dump and a PG restore always to upgrade your minor version. So it's always better that whenever a new minor versions are released, you can do it immediately without any downtime. Like it will need some downtime, but it's very little because you need to install and you need to install the binaries. That much amount of time you need to stop your database and keep it unused for the application to use. And to update within compatible version, you should always replace the executable which the server is down, and restart the server. So as I said, like you just need to replace the binaries. You can just do again make install, just those few things, and your minor versions are done. Important thing is that your internal storage format and all, nothing changes. So it's very easy to do because it will not affect anything in your like application. So we'll later have a demo on it, how a minor version upgrade is done. What is major version upgrade? PostgreSQL major version are represented by the first two digit of the version number. That is like 8.4. Then you can say 9.1, 9.2. These are, suppose you want to move from 8.4 to 9.1, that needs a major version upgrade. In this type of upgrade, the internal data storage format is subject to change, thus complicating upgrades. Here, this total binaries, everything changes, the internal data storage changes. So you need to take a backup and store it somewhere. Then you install a new version. Then you uh, restore back the dump. That is how an upgrade is done in a typical way. The traditional method of moving data to a new version is to dump and reload to the database. You just take a dump and restore back to the database, to the new version. So new major versions are typically introduce some user visible incom sorry. Um, so versions are like new major versions are typically introduce some user visible incompatibilities. So application programming changes might be required because at times what happens like your system is running fine on 9.1, but when it moves to 9.2 you see a performance degradation. That is because some of the internal changes happens and your query takes more time. So internal optimizer changes, the way the query was taking in 9.1 it doesn't take in 9.2. So that is why sometime after upgrading your performance may affect. So those things should be tested before you are upgrading. And it is very important to test the application in stage or test before upgrading to a major version. That is very important. You should never upgrade at a fly to your production database. So what may be the prerequisite for a major version upgrade? So let's look some of the point. And the main important thing is like before you upgrade is to back up the databases. We need to back up the database so that if anything goes wrong during the upgradation, we should have a plan to restore our database so that application keeps running. Then we should check the new version, and we should check it is compatible or not with the application before we upgrade to the new version. And we should make sure that application is down and no new db connection is connected to database. That is during the upgrade time, so that you're upgrading and some new connections are coming, so there might be a big issue. And always we should have a rollback plan. If something goes wrong, what how we should roll back and application again keeps running. And we should have some like we should make some changes in server configuration like pghba, pgconf, then shmax, shmall. So these few parameters we need to make changes before we move on to a major version upgrade. Some few parameters which needs to be taken care before we can so that your restoration happens faster, because you are taking a dump from your older version and you need to restore the database dump to a new version. So that restoration should happen faster so that you have less downtime. So few parameters we can consider which will increase your restoration, and we can change back those parameters after your restoration is done. First parameter is like auto vacuum. We should switch off because it's during restoration you don't need an auto vacuum. Then fsync should be off. You don't need to write any changes to your transaction logs, so that you can make it off. Then full page writes equal to off, you can make these changes. Then checkpoint timeout, you can make it 1 hour so that we have less amount of checkpoint and less amount of IO happens. Then BG writer delay, instead of 200 milliseconds, which is default, we can make it 500 milliseconds. So as much changes can be written to disk, that can happen faster. Then checkpoint segment we can increase so that there's less number of checkpoint and less number of IO can happen. Then maintenance work mem we can make it to one from, like, you can make it you can increase that value. This all parameters are like I'm just saying as an assumption, which is in the more you increase, the more better the performance would be for restoration. If your database size is in 1 terabyte, maybe this amount of parameter value won't be enough. That time you may need to increase it to maybe checkpoint segment up to 1,000, or checkpoint timeout it can be even more. Even the maintenance work maybe depends on your RAM. Suppose if you have 800 to 900 of RAM, that time you can make it around 100 gigs of maintenance work RAM. So it depends on your system. I'm just giving like estimate. We can increase those parameters so that your restoration happen faster. So it depends on the configuration. What's the configuration you can change. And while restoration, we can use jobs. Suppose you have 32 cores, or if you have 96 cores of your CPU, so you can use 96 jobs all together so that your restoration happens faster and you have very less downtime. So these are a few prerequisites you should keep in mind before you go for an upgrade in production environment. So how there are three different ways you can do, in two different ways. One is PG dump and restore, or we can directly do an PG upgrade. So these are the things we can do. Uh, so let's see how we can do an PG dump and a restore. So to upgrade the version, we need to take a backup and of the existing DB and restore the backup to a new version, or it can be in a new server, or it can be a new old server itself. So we need to make sure that the backup dump is taken from the upgraded binaries, because at times if you take the backup from the old binaries and you try to restore in the upgraded version, that time some issue comes. So we should always make sure we take the PG dump from the upgraded binaries. That means if you are upgrading from 9.5 to 9.6, you should take the PG dump from 9.6 using some -h. You can take the dump from any other server also. And if you think that uh, if you can also use PG dump all. It will take all your users. If you don't want PG dump all, you can separately take a backup of users and restore uh, to the other server where you want to, where there would be an upgraded one. So the steps for upgrading is like, first of all, you need to backup the database using PG dump or PG dump all. Then you need to shut down the database, like the database of primary database you need to shut down so that no new connection comes. And after that, uh, we need to restore the database dump. And these are the simple ways how you do it. So everything I'll cover in the uh, in our demo. So like one more easy way is to PG upgrade. So if your database size is more than 1 terabyte, that time PG dump and PG restore would take lots of time. Instead, you can use PG upgrade, which is very fast. So if PG upgrade up to 4 terabyte, if you want to upgrade up to 4 terabyte, it would take some few minutes for the upgradation. But if you take PG dump and PG restore of 4 terabyte, that may take into hours. It may take 3 hours, 4 hours. It may take lots of time. So PG upgrade is one of the utility through which very like huge databases can be upgraded from 9, like major version upgrade can be done. So here internally what happens, like internally you don't migrate the data. So there would be links. Suppose there are links like pointing towards 9.1 version, and the new link So internally when you do PG upgrade, all the links move from 9.1 to 9.3. So there is no movement of data. Data will be in same place. Only the links. So the binary will link from the older version to the new version. That is how upgrade is done through PG upgrade. It's very easy. Only thing you need to keep in mind, you should have two binaries installed. You should have in the same server. It cannot happen in a different server. So you need to keep like both the old version and new version in the same server, and you run the PG upgrade command. We'll also cover this in our demo. So these are the few things like which you need to give in the command, in the PG upgrade command. So the command goes this way, like PG upgrade, then you give the old binaries, means old version binaries, you give the directory, then you give the new binary directory, then also you need to mention the old data directory, and you need to mention the new data directory location. And before upgrading, if you want to check everything is compatible or not, you can give -c and check like your upgrade will be successful or not. You can check that using -c, and once -c give you a positive result, then you can go for the real upgrade. Also, if your database port are different, also you need to mention the port in the PG upgrade command, and also the user, through which user you are doing the PG upgrade. So before running PG upgrade, we must create new database cluster, then shut down the postmaster service in the old cluster. We should also shut down the postmaster in the new cluster. So everything should be shut. Then we run the PG upgrade command. Then we mention the old data directory and the new data directory, new binaries, old binaries. Uh, at the end, you can see exactly how the command would look like pg upgrade -d old cluster data, then new cluster data, then the new cluster bin, and the new cluster bin. So all these things if you give, and your upgrade is done. As simple as that. So after your upgrade is done, so you are done with your upgrade, so you need to check, right, your upgrade is successful or not. So you can check the version of the upgraded version, like through psql hyphen version, or you can go inside psql and you can check select version and semicolon, it will give you the new version name. Then checking the application is correctly connecting to the database or not, so that you need to check before you go live again. And we need to vacuum analyze the table so that stats are updated, because these very important steps, or else performance will be affected. And make the necessary Postgres config changes, because we have made some changes before restoration. So those changes again we need to revert back so that you have a better performance. So these are the checks you need to perform when after a upgrade. So now let's go for a small demo, like how we can upgrade using npg dump. So I'll go into my terminal. So I'm into my terminal. So here I have two version installed. You can check here. One is 9.6.2 and another one is 9.5.7. So I'm inside 9.5.7 and I want to migrate this database, migrate underscore test. So you can see how many records are here. So let's start from migrate. I'm doing something wrong, so I need to go inside migrate test, then I can check. Sorry again. I'm inside the database, I can check. So we have 4 records here, and this 9.5.7. So we'll be migrating this database, or we'll be migrating this full server to the upgraded server, that is 9.6.2. The first way to upgrade is take a pg dump of the database and restore it to the upgraded version. So as I said, we should take the backup from the upgraded version. So pg dump, we'll take a pg dump. We're taking a pg dump of the old version with port 5.5436, because I have logged in the older database with 5.46. Then the database, suppose you have multiple database, you can mention multiple database like migrate test 1, migrate test 2, and you can append the file to any SQL. So I'm just taking a backup. So I'm done with my backup. So now I need to restore it back to 5.6, sorry, 9.6. So before that I need to create a database. I think already I have, because I tested during the so make create. Before restoration we need to make a blank database. Now we can restore the database. I have that command ready, so I'm logging into the new version and I'm restoring to migrate test. Now I am logged into my upgraded version. Here you can see 9.6.2, or else whenever you log in you can also see 9.6.2. So these are two ways you can check the version. Now we log into migrate test database. Now we are connected to migrate test. Now select start from migrate test. So you're done. So you have moved all your data from 9.5 to 9.6. This is one type of way how you can migrate, or how you can upgrade your database. Like you're taking a dump and you are moving it to the upgraded version. Next we'll be covering PG upgrade. So before that, let's move on and check the summary. So we have seen different types of upgradation. There are few more tools through which you can upgrade, like from second quadrant and from other different vendor. And it's very important to update, because when you keep on upgrading, or when your system or your version is updated, you can feel yourself you are free from bugs. And thing to keep in mind, there can be downtime, but we can minimize the downtime depending on the scenario. So with this we came to an end of the session. For any queries, please feel free to contact me at RSSAHA is my alias. I hope this video was informative, and thank you for watching it.